Let's start with you, Brenda. Why have you decided to run for mayor of Mayfield Village?
Well, I believe I'm qualified to be the mayor. I'm running because I have the motivation, the drive, the enthusiasm. I have the skills and the education to take on that challenge. And I think primarily I'm running because the village is my home. I love it very much, and I want to work very hard to keep our community great. I think that my involvement in politics has given me the opportunity to be a spokesperson for village's concerns, and that would have come on a couple of occasions. Once about 5 years ago when I opposed a proposed charter amendment that would have eliminated referendum zoning, meaning that the residents would not have a right to vote on zoning changes even in residential areas. The Sun paper endorsed our position, and that proposed amendment went down resoundingly. Excuse me. I also chair the Citizens Advisory Committee, which is our community ombudsman group, and I chair the Civil Service Commission. And in that capacity, I've worked with Mayor Rinker, all of our department heads, and our police and fire chief, and we have addressed a very broad range of issues. Pretty much everything that comes before the village we've vetted out or discussed in some way, shape, or form. So I feel that that's a good experience for being a mayor. I've been an attorney for 31 years, and in that business, I'm basically in the business of helping people solve their problems and achieve their goals. I work with many individuals and small businesses to advocate for their legal rights. I negotiate settlements, contracts, leases, convey land, draft a lot of legal documents, negotiate financing, deal with courts and all kinds of governmental agencies. In that 31 years, I've learned to conduct myself professionally, to gather the facts, apply the law, to make independent judgments, and I've learned which battles to choose, when it's appropriate to compromise, and how to be tough and cordial all at the same time. I like to note that when you look at our corporate tax base, which pays the vast majority of our taxes in Mayfield Village, you'll see CEOs of these firms with CPAs, MDs, doctors, dentists. They're very highly educated corporate tax base, and they're used to dealing with people who are on the same level. I think that my education with a law degree would be very helpful in that respect. And not only that, when you're dealing with these people, when they have a legal problem, they go to their lawyer, just like my small business clients do. So I really love Mayfield Village. I've thought about the decision carefully. I want to serve Mayfield Village, and I feel like I'm qualified to do that. Thanks.
Sure. Stephen, why are you running?
Well, thank you, Chris. I was born in Mayfield Village, and when my family moved out of Highland Heights, I realized after college, I realized I wanted to move back. As soon as I moved back, it was roughly about 8 years ago, I started getting involved. Volunteered on many committees, Citizens Advisory Committee, Activities Committee, Beautification Committee. Then I felt the need to further what I'm doing for Mayfield Village. How more can I help? And I took the leap, and I've been elected on council for a few years now. And it's important to me to provide the residents with the service that they expect. It's a small town. I want to keep it that way. I think together we can keep Mayfield a tight-knit community. I believe that being on council has given me the unique skill set to take care of the residents, take care of the businesses, and to take care of the intergovernmental workings, the management, if you will, of the day-to-day operations. You know, I hold a business management degree, and that gives me the unique skill set to manage Mayfield Village. We have over 60 full-time employees, and that is a big fraction of what the mayor does, and that's what I'm trained to do. On the other aspect, it's important to take care of the residents. I manage residents' problems daily, talking to, emailing, corresponding with, going to council meetings, meet with department heads, email department heads on a day-to-day basis, continually trying to work for the residents. You know, I'm just a government official. The true government of Mayfield Village is the residents, and they need to be sure that their voice is heard and they have a seat at the table. Currently, I'm also seeking a degree from the Levin College of Urban Affairs, and that's going to give me another skill set that's going to help guide me through Mayfield Village's inner workings with nonprofits, safety and service, the other aspects that go along with other government agencies, the county and the state, of which I work with also. And that's going to kind of make me more well-rounded, more able to work with the residents directly, and also work with the businesses. I feel I'm the only candidate who has who's a mature, business-oriented leader, and I feel I can take Mayfield Village into the next decade. It's a belief of mine to get in there on the first day of office, meet with the department heads, meet with all the employees, get to know the employees. They're our first line of defense. Well, I'll say defense, but I'll also say offense. They're the ones who see everything that's going on, and we need to rely on them as the mayor would need to do in our small town. And I thank you for the opportunity to be here today.
Al?
My name's Al Meyers. I own Ken's Auto Service in Mayfield Village. We've been there 54 years. I'm a small businessman. I've born and raised in the village. We run a very successful business. I've looked at the village and overseen the goods and bads over the years of what's going on. And I just feel that I'd rather be more hands-on with people. I would like to interact with people more. If they have a problem, they could call, almost like somebody could come to their rescue rather than ask the question and, talk to 4 or 5 people before they get their answers. I want to change the way local politics and politicians are viewed. I believe in transparency and collaboration among the residents and community. I want to consider cost and expand services if possible. I want to do this while making sure my community stays safe. And I will continue the strong tradition that made Mayfield Village a premier Cleveland community.
Let me ask you this, Al. Let me start with you. Did you find Mayor Rinker? Was he doing a good job, you feel?
Absolutely. He's really taken the city from to a community that people enjoy. It has very, how would you put it, a lot of amenities now that people enjoy, trails and paths, and we're working on a new community room as we speak. But yes, he's done great things for the village.
And you brought up this having a more hands-on approach with people. Is that something that's lacking now, or is that just a tradition that you continue?
I've only been attending a couple meetings for the last few months, and it just, from an outsider looking in, because I have no political experience, the questions that get asked, they don't get their answers. People ask the questions, and they get almost pawned off from person to person to person. And it almost, you could see the frustration in people's faces when they walk out of the room and, never got the answer.
Stephen, I mean, responding to Al's comments, I mean, you sound as if at these meetings residents bring up matters of concern and council is not addressing those.
Well, I don't believe that's entirely true. There are a few residents who come to the council meetings and air their opinion, and that's what government's all about. It's about having that public forum. Of course, all meetings are open to the public, and we appreciate when residents come. As a councilman, I'm the one that's the frontline defense, working with the residents, making sure that their issues are taken care of. A lot of issues are small, but to me they're important because I know to the resident they're important. And I believe that I've worked hard with these residents to make sure that when they do have an issue, I contact the appropriate department head, I work with the mayor directly, I make sure that residents, their voice is heard. It's very important to them and me, of course. I think that Mayor Rinker has been doing a great job. He's been here over 20 years and kind of laid the groundwork for what Mayfield Village is and what Mayfield Village will be. And I believe that as we continue to take care of the residents, have a hands-on approach that I have been doing on council every day of my life, I've been elected to do so, I feel we can continue to do that, have an open door policy. I read a story the other day, it's an older story about the mayor of Orlando from years ago, and he talked about how at the time the mayor didn't have an open door policy. There's always a secretary there blocking people from coming in, and he systematically removed the doors from the room. Not that I need to do that to face public property, but I want to make sure that at all points residents can come to me, they can call me, they can contact me, no matter what. But I also have to understand that there's more to it than that. I have to be working with businesses, have to be working with management of employees. So I have to be able to wear all the hats, but be able to make sure that the residents know the person they elected is the person they're getting on the first day of office.
Brenda, what are some of the issues that are facing the residents of Mayfield Village?
When I go door to door, I hear a variety of issues. Most of those are personal issues. We do have drainage and flooding problems in different areas. Drainage and flooding problems in different areas, that has come to the light. And I know about 1.5 years ago, I believe we did a survey. We sent out a survey to everyone and got sporadic responses. And what that told us was that the problems did not all stem from the same source. Some people think that they have a sanitary sewer problem, but actually it relates to the stormwater issue. And it is a problem in certain areas of the village. The stormwater is, so sometimes when you have a big storm, people's sanitary sewers will back up because the storm water is infiltrating into the sanitary sewers. It can't hold all the water and it's backing up. We have a couple of things that we can do. If it's simply a drainage problem, the water needs to drain away instead of toward the house. We have a budget that's set aside and the village works with individuals. We will actually put in a drainage system so the water goes away from the house. We have a limited budget for that, but generally we pay 90% of that bill and the people pay 10%. We also have a contract with Cuyahoga County and the NEORSD. They will come out and snake your sewers and dye test your sewers on a regular basis if you need that. And that's going to give us some information as to blockage and infiltration problems. And the good thing is, I think it was October 15th now, the NEORSD came out with, the Supreme Court just came out with a decision regarding the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District's ability to deal with stormwater, manage stormwater as a part of its wastewater management, and also to be able to collect fees. Now, if you don't know the history of that, this started several years ago when the district wanted to do that. They filed an action with the Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Court, and they asked the court if under their charter they were allowed to do both of those things, to collect the money and to set up a system and to manage stormwater. That's 3 things, I guess. But the court said yes, and they began to collect those fees. I think it's about $5.15 a month per every 3,000 square feet of impervious surface that you have. That decision was then appealed to the 8th District Court of Appeals, and the 8th District reversed on both of those points, said you couldn't do that. They did let the district keep the money that was already collected while it was on appeal to the Supreme Court. On October 15th, the Supreme Court came out and said yes to both of those issues. So under their charter, the sewer district is permitted to manage stormwater as a part of its wastewater management system, and it can collect fees in order for it to put systems in place to do that. Of the money that we pay, 25% of that is specifically allocated to come back to our village, and we can apply for more than that. So I think now we're in a good position. We could apply to the sewer district and get that help. So that's one of the big problems that I've heard of. I've heard people complain about a lot of individual problems that they're having that may be unique to their house, or the problems that they're having in that regard. People complain about blighted properties, about things of that nature. But I'd say the biggest thing I hear, and I hear people also complain about spending now and then. I think we were at a place maybe about 6 years ago where our debt was very high. Our reserves were under $1 million. And that was right about when our new director of development, he's not new anymore, but he came in about 6 years ago, and we really turned that ship around. So now our reserves at the end of the year from less than $1 million are going to be 6 years ago. The reserves this year should end up at about $11 million. I'd like to see that number go up a little bit. We've also paid down almost $10 million of debt in the last 6 years, and we're paying cash now for a lot of our capital improvements, such as our community center. Thank you.
So, and I take it that Mayfield Village is not among the communities that are continuing to challenge, or were challenging, the regional sewer district's ability to begin this stormwater.
That's correct. We filed, in fact, we filed an amicus brief in favor of the decision that just came out, yeah.
How do, Mr. Meyers and Mr. Jerome, how do you feel about regional stormwater management and how that could impact Mayfield Village?
Well, I feel it's an important decision. You know, sitting on the Drainage Infrastructure Committee, I see residents month after month coming in with again, small issues, but these are important to them. When we first initiated the Drainage Infrastructure Committee before I was on council, it was kind of like we'd meet here, we'd meet there, we weren't consistent with what we were doing. So when I came in, I said, you know, we need to be more consistent. We need to meet once a month. We need to have a set meeting time. We need to make sure that the residents come in with their information and they don't get removed from that list until their issue's resolved. If it's beyond what the D&I committee can handle, it's then given over to the service director and the engineer who we work with on all the issues, and they look at them more from an overall village-wide issue. I know that on council we passed a resolution stating that we wanted the regional sewer district to take over these stormwater issues. It's unfortunate some communities were against that, but that is their right to do as a community, and I was glad to be part of that decision to vote in favor of a resolution saying that we want this. We're glad you stepped up. We're glad that you're taking the bull by the horns to manage these stormwater issues. You know, I found that over the years that the amount of rain that comes onto the ground is exponentially rising. It's these quick, small bursts where our systems can't handle it. And I've been adamant with our engineer and our service director to make sure that we're doing everything we can. I've sat in on meetings with the county, making sure that we're doing dye testing, make sure we're doing flow monitors, make sure we're doing everything we can do to keep the residents from getting flooded. And I hear, once a week I hear a resident, I got flooded, my basement got flooded, what can we do? And I understand that some of those issues are on the resident, but instead of having the approach of, well, it's not you, it's us, it's better to have the approach, well, let's work on it together. And I feel that we can continue to do that, continue to have an overall village approach to handling these issues systematically and with common sense. It's unfortunate the residents get flooded. We understand that our service department tries to at least help them out after an issue, helping them, you know, remove garbage from the tree lawn they have to put on there, or getting them some sort of a drying device to try to help that, or give them a contact of who they can go to. So I think that we'll gradually keep working. We just finished a $2 million sewer conversion project from septic to sewer. We're finalizing that now. That included new water lines and a new road project. And I think as we continue to do the other couple streets that need to be converted, that will close up some of those gaps, some of those issues with stormwater getting into sanitary sewers and getting into people's basements. And I think we're on a good path. I feel we can do more, and I believe that I can lead by example and keep Mayfield Village flood-free.
Mr. Jerome, you're a councilman at large.
Yes.
Is the whole council elected at large, or are there certain at-large seats?
There are 3 individuals who are elected at large, and I feel as the at-large person that I'm not, we all have one vote when it comes to measures, but I feel that council at large is held to a higher regard. That's what I was elected to do. I was elected by all the people that take care of all the residents. The ward people do a great job, and they take care of their residents, but it's my duty to make sure that all the residents are taken care of.
And there are 4 ward seats.
There are 4 wards, and there are 3 at large. I think it's a good mix, a good combination.
Mr. Meyers, what's your view on
Well, as a businessman looking at the village, they just completed a storm retention right down the street from my shop on Somme Center Road. They removed a house and they built a huge basin. And a lot of the comments that I'm hearing from residents are they planted trees in the bottom of the basin. Well, trees die when they were planted underwater. The basin that was there before they renovated it never had water in it. They just made it 3 times bigger. They planted trees in the bottom of it, and the water, it never fills up. It never, I mean, I've been standing there in the last 2 deluges. I've stopped on Somme Center Road, got out of my truck, and, you know, they get a couple inches of water in the bottom of it, but it never had water in it, you know, before. The water doesn't go down, you know, behind the houses. And a perfect example, my neighbor at 6483 Highland Road, they changed the grade of the road 4 years ago, and ever since they've done that, she gets 4 inches of water in her garage every time it rains.
You've never run for office before, is
No.
that correct? So why are you running for mayor as opposed to running for council?
To look at the whole picture, the money that they spend, the corner of Wilson Mills and Somme, they're doing a community room right now. They've redone the corner 3 times in the last 3 years or 4 years. They plant trees, they build mounds, they move the mounds, they plant grass, they tear it out, they put sidewalks in, they tear them out. Right now, there's a pile of pine trees that they planted last year that I asked, what are they doing with them? They're like, nothing. I mean, there's a pile of them. You can go there right now and look at them. And I asked the other night at council, are they so wasteful with stuff like that? I mean, I know they want to move forward with, you know, projects, but wouldn't you think that they would have a little foresight that they knew they were going to do a community room renovation or build a new one, and a year from, you know, the time you're talking about it, tear it all out and throw it away? I mean, it's money. It's all about money.
Ms. Bodnar, same question for you. This is your first run for public office, is that correct?
That's correct.
Even though you've been very active in civic,
Right.
Charter commissions, et cetera, why are you running for mayor as opposed to council?
Well, I feel very motivated to do that. It was definitely time for me to step up to the plate and do something, and considered running for council, and then this came up, and I spoke with my family about it, I spoke with my law firm about it, I spoke with the mayor about it, and Councilwoman Patsy Mills and some other people, got my ducks in a row and decided that this was the right thing to do. I think I have the leadership ability. I think I can bring people together and get things done and keep people happy. One of the things I would really want to do, and this is not to the exclusion of anything else, but I think it's very important that we maintain a very strong relationship with our business base. It's no secret, you know, Progressive is with us, and they have over 6,000 employees on 2 campuses. They pay 70 to 75% of our annual income tax, which ranges between 16 to 18, maybe a little bit more, $1 million. So I think that it's important that we maintain ongoing communications with them. I think we're doing a good job now. I know that Diane Wolgemuth and the mayor keep in touch with them. Ron Wynn, our finance director, keeps in touch. John Morelli, our buildings man, keeps in touch with their groundskeeper. But I think it's important that we continue that relationship, that we foster win-win situations by doing that, that we listen to what their concerns are, see what they have to say, and that we value and respect their opinion as well as the opinions of our individual citizens. So I think that's very important, and I think that I have the skills to do that. And basically what I said before, I think that I love this, you know, I know that I love this community, and we've done good things. I think it takes a strong leader and a good plan, even when you have a good system in place, to make sure you don't run afoul, and if you get off course, to be able to get back on track, and I think I'd be able to do that. Insofar as budgeting and planning, I think that's one area that I would look at a little bit. I think we could do a little bit better in that respect. The one thing that comes to my mind is at one of the recent council meetings, or it might have been a caucus meeting, we were talking about the budget for new restrooms and a pavilion to go in over by our softball fields. We had already put one in a couple years ago by the soccer fields, and it turned out that it came in a fair amount over budget to do the ones by the softball fields. The question was asked, why is it that it came in over budget? And the answer was, well, 2 years ago when we looked at it, this was the price we had looked at from 2 years ago, and that was also when we were going to do it in conjunction with the other restroom project. I think we could have updated those numbers and had a better figure going in. So that's how I would approach that issue.
It sounds, Stephen and Brenda, that you feel that there is a good system in place. It may need some tweaks. But Al, I'm hearing from you that you don't feel there's a good system in place, that there's not enough oversight and transparency and accountability.
Right.
Is that correct?
I mean, that's the way I'm looking from the outside in. Like I say, I'm not a politician. I'm trying to understand that. I mean, I know what it costs to run a business, and I know how hard it is to make a dollar. And the things that they spend money on, you know, they don't add up. I mean, bringing the bathroom up that she was talking about down by the soccer fields. Mm-hmm. They got a quote. They don't hold contractors accountable. Things that, you know, they get a project, they quote a project, they bid it, they start on the project, and then all of a sudden there's an ad order, and then there's another ad order. By the time it's done, you know, instead of being $1 million, it's, you know, $1,200,000. But nobody questions the extra $200,000. You know, I mean, if they bid it and this is the job, you know, you could see something that's totally catastrophic, but not an everyday. Every project has an ad order. And it's not, you know, nothing goes the way it's supposed to.
Well, the village must be doing something right if it's turned around its finances just in the past
Right.
6 years, although that does coincide with coming out of the recession, of course.
Right.
So maybe in a macro sense, they're doing something right, but you're saying on these contracts.
I think it could be looked at a little more efficiently than the way it's, and make people a little more accountable as to what, you know, what they do.
And that's why you want,
Yes.
I mean, to bring that oversight and accountability.
I mean, the rainy day fund, you know, they say we have a lot of money, but it could probably be double if all this overage and all the, you know, they look at things and run it as a business.
Mhm.
I mean, not just, I mean, you look at checks and balances, and a lot of times from the outside, that's what I say, I don't know the exact numbers, but you can see what they do. Projects that they've done, they've done sidewalk projects. They'll concrete right over a shut-off valve or a clean-out. And then I've brought it to their attention, like, why would you do that? Oh, well, they'll just come back and do a change order. Well, who pays for that? The village. So stuff like that, you know,
Cement over what?
well, like your water shut-offs, they'd cement right over them. They were doing a sidewalk in front of my house, and the inspector was standing there, and I said, you know, twice you guys knew they were there. They're marked with paint. They're pouring concrete. We went over and kicked this gravel out of the way, and there it is, the shut-offs this far below the gravel that they were going to put the concrete over.
Let's ask Mr. Jerome, who's on council.
And they, you know, but I said, and the inspector stands there, and my question is, if they pour the concrete, what happens?
So is this a problem, an ongoing problem with too many change orders and add-ons to?
Well, I guess we'll talk about the community room first, since that was brought up. When I was sitting on Citizens Advisory Committee and then representing them as a councilman, we talked about the community room, you know, several years ago. What do we want to do? Do we want to expand the existing facility? Do we want to renovate it? And then it was decided that, you know, if we want to be using taxpayers' money properly, their money is better well spent replacing it. So to Mr. Meyers' point, right before then, we had an old village hall that we tore down. We needed to get rid of it. It reached its expiration date. We planted grass. We put some mounds up because the existing community room, it wasn't aesthetically pleasing. It was on a hard corner. So we built some mounds up, put some trees. It was more of a temporary. We didn't know what we were going to do at that point. We did something minimal. And like I said, moving on to the community room, we then decided that, well, where it's at now, it's not going to work. Why don't we build a new facility? Let's move it closer to the green space that's existing there at the center of town, and let's keep the other facility open while this one's being built to keep residents. It's a facility that's used day to day, to keep residents be able to use it. And I think that it doesn't come across all the time that, you know, we know what we're doing, but there's many meetings that we talk, and we talk behind the scenes, that we discuss these issues. You know, we certainly bring up, I'm a co-owner of my father's small business. We have a family plumbing business. I'm fourth generation, and that, you know, it's important to me to make sure we look at everything first and ask the questions and make sure, is this the right move we can do? So we decided to move forward with the new community room, and I sat in a lot of those meetings for design to make sure that the residents who want to use it for a facility for parties, they were in there. The residents that want to use it for any kind of civic event, you know, Hillcrest Council of Councils or Historical Society, Women's Garden Club, that they have a seat at the table too. So that's what we felt, that we could design a better building. It was going to cost more money than replacing, but it was going to be money better well spent. Going back to an overall approach, I feel that council is, at least when I came on council, started asking these questions, you know, why are we doing this? Why is this and why is that? And it seemed like at first those weren't questions that were being asked. And I know, coming in as the new councilperson at the time, that I had to stand on my own two feet and determine, you know, what are we doing with the budget? And there were some things that, like, for example, the pool restrooms, not the the softball field restrooms by the pool. We put it on the back burner. We felt, you know what, there's better money we can spend going towards sewer projects or other avenues, putting money back in the reserves. And what happened was we set it to the side. We came back a year or so later, and we brought it up, and we said, well, the prices have gone up. The economy has changed. There's contractors that are so busy that they're not going to throw a number on that we had gotten 2 years ago. We talked about it. We said, well, we're going to do it. This is what's going to take. Do we have the money for it? The finance director, explains to us what we can do.
Yeah. Just because we
Yes.
have limited
Yes.
time. Could you just address this issue of are the contracts that the city's letting subject to too many change orders?
There's change orders, and we keep money aside in these contracts if those are to arise. And I don't know what Mr. Meyers is referring to, exact change orders of what we haven't planned on doing. Again, being in business, I know when we work with contracts, when we're doing jobs for residents or for, not residents, Mayfield Village, for residential or for commercial, things arise, nothing's black and white. We need to be able to make a decision. Well, here's what happened, what can we do? And I don't believe that we've had too many issues with contracts we put out that need to be changed for any non-planning issues in the first place. Things arise, and we need to be able to work with that, not against it.
What about a specific example of the water shut-off valve? It made it sound like this has happened before.
Well-
And there's an inspector there, and they're pouring concrete over this
Right.
shut-off
And-
valve.
And like you say, talking to the engineer and the service director, that they just kind of, fluff it off as it's a change order. And who pays for it?
Brenda, I'd be curious to hear your reaction to that.
Well, I think that we need to pay more attention to details, certainly
Just
about
inspectors.
things like that. I think it's important, and I think the issues are in the planning, and so planning, they should not have planned to put the sidewalk in an area that wasn't appropriate. That should have been looked at. That being said, I think we can do a little bit more to forecast the future, to look ahead. If we're budgeting, to use current budgeting figures. If we're going to put in a sidewalk, to take a look and see where things are. I don't think we're doing a terrible job, but I think we can certainly improve in some of these areas. And I think whoever the next mayor is needs to sit down with the architect, sit down with all of our department heads, and make our expectations clear, and then monitor that on a regular basis. Ron Wynn, he's our finance director, and I like to call him Saint Ron, although he's kind of shy and doesn't really like that title. But I think he kind of sets the gold standard. He monitors all kinds of things that are going on. He gets legislative services. He looks at what's going on in Columbus. He looks at what's going on in Washington and in the county and in the world. And that helps him budget appropriately for everything that we can do. So we can forecast. We don't have a crystal ball, but we can forecast and we can get good figures in. So I think it's important that everybody kind of takes that lead and that we do our best, because we are spending taxpayer dollars and we should spend them wisely.
Is the mayor's job a full-time job?
No, it's a part-time job.
Part-time. So how do you balance that? 'Cause it sounds like being essentially the chief administrative officer, if that's what the mayor does, is would be challenging, even though it's village. It's not a northern city, but still.
I agree.
Money is being spent.
It is a challenge, and that's why before I decided to throw my hat in the ring, I had to talk with the people in my law firm and say, hey, this is going to cut into my time here somewhat. They've always been very flexible with me, and they were all for it, so I'm going to be able to manage my time. But yeah, you do have to learn to juggle time. You do have to be very well organized. You do have to have reliable people in positions at Village Hall. So I think all of those things are important.
Mr. Jerome?
Well, yes, I do agree, Elizabeth. This is a CEO position, and I believe my unique skill sets of working in management position currently with our family plumbing business, and also holding a business management degree, that gives me a great asset to the community. Yes, it is a part-time position, but it is something that I'm passionate about, and just like how I am on council, I put 110% into it, and I would do the same as mayor. It's important to be flexible. With our company, we have that now. I work in the community. I'm always available by phone call or by email, or if I got to come in and meet with someone, whether it's at Village Hall or whether it's a forum I'm going to or an event, or if I need to go to a certain business and talk with them. You know, that's what I've been kind of doing now as council, even though there is that separation of power between what council does and what mayor does. You know, I feel that I've kind of evolved my council position to be able to manage what I need to do, but also take the avenue of moving forward, working with businesses and doing the things that a mayor needs to do. The mayor's a management position, and I believe I have the ability to do that.
I'm literally 1,000 feet down the road from the Civic Center. I mean, my time is my time. I own my own business. And I just felt that, you know, with what we see going on, and for years, you know, it could be looked at in a different way, more of a businessman's standpoint than a politician's. I just felt that, you know, it's something that I wanted to do. I want to look at it and look at the whole picture. Take care of people like I always have. My name's Alan Meyers. I'm running for mayor. Do you have any questions for me? I mean, what are the issues that you have with the village? I mean, there's things that I'd like to move forward. I'm not a politician. I'm a businessman, and I just feel that, you know, if my phone is on 24/7. You could call me with any issues, and I hope you support me.
Greetings, Mr. Evans. My name is Steve Jerome. It's wonderful to meet you. I wanted to come by and introduce myself. I'm running for mayor of Mayfield Village. I know your time is valuable, and I will keep this short. I have been serving you on council, making sure that you're taken care of as a resident. I'm the only candidate who can say that I've been making sure that your voice is heard and you have a seat at the table. As mayor, I will make sure that your voices continue to be heard. Daily, I work with department heads to make sure that the services, police, and fire are taken care of, and I will do that exponentially as mayor. I think together we keep Mayfield Village a strong, tight-knit community, and I believe that working together, we will keep Mayfield Village moving forward in the right direction for not only you, but for the seniors and the other residents that have young children, making sure that everyone's taken care of, no matter who they are, where they are, what they do, or why they live in Mayfield Village. Thank you for the time, and do you have any questions for me, Mr. Evans?
Okay. No. Let's go on to Brenda here.
Hi, Mr. Evans. My name is Brenda Bodnar. I'm not trying to sell you anything today. I'd like
Yes,
to
you are.
I actually I am. You're right. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm running for mayor, lived in Mayfield Village for about 14 years now. I love it very much here. I think we have wonderful services and amenities. I look at the village, and always have, as a place of quiet confidence, and I think we've had a lot of changes in the last 20 years or so, but that we have remained that place of quiet confidence, and I want to work hard to keep us in good financial shape and to keep us going in the right direction. I've had a lot of experience in politics here. I serve as chairman of both the Civil Service Commission and the Citizens Advisory Committee. And in both of those capacities, I've worked with the mayor, our director of administration, all of our department heads, and our police and fire chief. And we've vetted out just about every issue that is of importance to Mayfield Village. Beyond that, I've been a lawyer for 31 years. I have a great grasp of the law, and I think that really facilitates anyone's job as a mayor. You need to be able to analyze, deal with business people. You need to be able to negotiate, advocate. You need to know which battles you should choose and when it's the best thing to compromise, and I believe I can do all of those things. I would love to serve Mayfield Village as your mayor, so I ask for your vote on November 3rd. If you have any questions, please let me know.